Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another Railroader Mod Showcase. Angry Ragtimer here. Thank you for joining us. Today, we are checking out the newly released GE 44-ton diesel-electric switcher made by Spinoto and Greninja. So this is a model that is up on Nexus Mods, and I'll have the link down in the video description here. It installs via Unity Mod Manager. And I got to tell you, it's a sweet little locomotive. Let's get it moved out of the engine house here for you to enjoy. It's got its own custom horn. But as it comes out of here, it's your typical GE 44-ton little diesel. So these were made by General Electric between 1940 and 1956, designed for industrial and light switching duties. And really became quite a popular locomotive. Basically, there was a 90,000-pound rule that basically said that if you had any piece of equipment over 90,000 pounds or 45 short tons, you had to have a fireman in addition to an engineer whenever operating a locomotive. But because these were 44, it got around that requirement. So it was very popular, so you could have one person operating this. This wasn't a problem for like industrial or military railroads, but for the Class 1s who were trying to save money and get rid of steam engines and get more to diesels, these were pretty good options. And GE made a ton of these locomotives. There's still a bunch of them around today. So now we have it here in Railroader. A couple of cool things that Spinoto did include with the mod. So there are multiple phases of this locomotive. So if you bring up the console window here and you put in, these codes are up on, on your thing here. There's this little code that you can put in. So I'm going to set it real quick to, this is for Nantahala Power and Light, NPL 1. So it can change phases. So it comes in default, I believe, phase 1. But if you put in phase number 2, so let's quickly try that here. So, I'm sorry, it was set as phase 0. So if we do... Now, you'll see that there's some cosmetic things that have now changed on the outside of the engine. And Spinoto has put out on the Nexus that he plans to do an overhaul of the model over time. It was his first creation in Blender, as he says. Massive thanks to Greninja 2404 and the B-Man 94 for their contributions and help. He's carrying out an overhaul which he's already begun work on, including refinements of the refinements of the user experience, and hopes to have all 5 phases of the 40-ton diesel-electric switcher in the future. So go and check it out now. It is a pretty sweet little locomotive. And just on cue, looks like our long-haul freight pulled by the GE or the Jeep 11s is just pulling in here to Nantahala. And on that train are a couple of cars for Nantahala. So for us to use this locomotive, see what it can really do, we're going to go ahead and do some switching with this engine. It only has 165 gallons of diesel fuel. So obviously its tank's not huge, but for a small yard or doing various things here, it will do exactly what you need it to do. So with that said, train should be coming to a stop here. Our Nantahala cars are these couple pretty much right here in the center. So to make it easy on ourselves, because right now we're currently not clearing, let's quickly switch over to the Jeeps and just take over them so that way we can drop off the correct cars. So inside this yard, we're basically going to get these moved up just a bit further, just so we can clear switches and stuff. And let's go ahead, now that the caboose is cleared on the rear, bring this to a halt. And these Drywall Company cars, which are going up the top 10, we're going to leave here. And we're going to go ahead and move these over to this next track for us to work with the little GE. So if you also haven't noticed, we have a fair bit of equipment down here. Most of it is modded stuff. So we have an RS-1. We have the Jeep 38 models by B-Man. And then we have the Nantahala yard, which has been fully redone, I believe, by Captain Foxy. So it is in the Angry Ragtimer mod pack, which was just updated for a Bryson Andrews run, which is the map we're currently playing on. So if you want to have this little yard, which is really good if you have a whole bunch of stuff down at Nantahala like we do, you can play on that. Just head over to our community Discord, and the Discord will have links to download that for you. That's also in the video description. Alrighty. So as our train tries to crawl up a little bit of red marble to get past this switch, hopefully, the thing I'm worried about is if this train has enough power to get up there. But that'll be a problem for later. I just need to get these couple of cars switched out here. So once this clears, let's go ahead, bring this to a halt, and then roll backwards. And then we'll get our little GE switcher rolled up and doing what it needs to do. Now, I will say there's been a lot of diesel mods coming out recently, and certainly I would assume, in my very uneducated stance, that diesels are a lot easier to make than steam engines. But it is awesome that we're now starting to see more diesels and, frankly, more customizable things. So it is pretty freaking cool. Alrighty, so those cars are now set out. Let's go ahead and have you move forward. So it got rid of some of the weight. And hopefully this cut can move forward just enough. And we'll have a couple back up. I don't know if we'll have this diesel leave with the main cut of cars or not, but we'll make sure that it at least is out of the way for what we need. So, all right. Now, the cars that are in this pack that we have to switch out, so we have a thing for the O'Brien Cooperage, Flanagan Coal Mine, and the Smoky Mountain Lime Company, which are also, again, mods of new industries that are here. If you take a quick look at Nantahala, you can see that we have some cars over there, some cars over here. There's now a Y added, and then there is, of course, the Flanagan Coal Mine. So we can go ahead and get the stuff where it needs to go, and then also pick up any of the outbound cars that are going to be heading back to Bryson for interchange, because we have a couple of those cars down there. Most everything else is still sitting and waiting. So nothing yet is going over to Andrews, because our Andrews interchange on this map still has yet to be serviced, so that'll be a future problem for us to deal with. So with that said, let's not slam into these cars at Mach 5 and just kind of casually, slowly couple back up. Get the air tied back in, and you know what? Let's see if it can go. So I'm going to get this out of here. Quickly get this set to go. And I'm going to go ahead and put a quick flare up at Topton, just because there's a couple of cars up here that maybe in the future we'll go and take a look at. So we'll let this get out of here, and hopefully it will be able to climb red marble. Meanwhile, we're going to go ahead and move backwards through the engine house and go ahead and get on the other end of these cars. So Nantahala Power and Light number 1, your GE Phase 1, 44-ton diesel, off we go. This little thing can accelerate pretty quickly when it's light engine. So we'll see how quickly we're able to do stuff here. I'm going to make sure to normalize our switches as we go, just so that way any future trains coming down will not have any issues, because I am very nervous about how it's going to handle the red marble grade, and I just want to make sure if it starts sliding back, it does not hit us. So Off we go. Just a quick overview of the model here. Obviously, it's a center cab, so your cab is in the center. Big whoop. I know, super obvious because of the name. But with the engine, you do have your own unique little cab. So obviously, you have your brake stands, you have your throttles, you have the ability for your independent, you have your train brakes. So that is all modeled in here. You do have your gauges, which is awesome. So you do have a mile per hour gauge. You also have brake lines. I believe, as we start to roll backwards, we do have windows. So we do have side windows on either side of the cab. You do have cab doors. You have the horn up here. A really nicely modeled exterior of the engine. Obviously, you have your coupling assembly. You've got your steps, and then you have pretty much a similar thing here. Cut lever, obviously, and of course your platform here if you were going to do switching. So it's a pretty sweet little locomotive. And as someone who works for a railroad that has a narrow gauge 44 tonner that's been reballasted up to 50 tons, or 55, I forget the exact number off the top of my head right now. It looks very, very familiar. So just be thankful I did not put it in East Broadtop's colors. As we said, this engine has quite the fast acceleration. So we're already going pretty quick, just to make sure it's not going to slide back on me. They're crawling out of here. Well, if they get stalled on the hill, that's their problem, and we'll deal with that in a future date and time. But anyways, let's go ahead and slowly couple up to our cars over here. Let's go ahead, get coupled up. Alrighty, and just to make it easier for us, let's go ahead and climb on here, and off we go. Who needs train brakes when you have gravity? And yeah, they did not make it far. Okay. Well, as we move forward, they will move backward, and we'll have to deal with that at a future date and time. Because, yeah, that train is not going up Red Marble with that here. So let's go ahead. We'll set them to go back, and we'll have them stop on the main back here. So we'll get them out of the way. And we'll put a fusee right there for them. Alrighty, so for us, with our 3 cars, now we can go ahead and get rolling. So we got a couple of industries to switch out with this little engine. I guess I should probably run it from the cab a little bit so you guys can see what that model is like. And I realize I'm like skateboarding across. Animated doors, which are awesome. The seats there. You got your cabinets and everything. And I didn't throw that switch, did I? No, I did not. I'm glad I caught that. Because I don't want to run into a, not quite a runaway train, but one that could be a major pain in the tuchus here. So let's back this puppy up. And meanwhile, that'll come to a stop at the appropriate point for it. Now we have the correct switch thrown. So now we're good. And poor Jeep 11s need more power. I guess we'll have to tack on those Jeep 38s over there. That'll be a future. That'll be a future video. Just how many diesels does it take to take a train over Red Marble? But I digress. We're here to look at the little 44 tonner today. So let's get moving here. I will say I really do like this model quite a lot. I don't want to say it reminds me of home, but it very much reminds me of home with our own 44 tonner at the Broad Top. So let's go ahead and get this across the street with the diesel. So we've got first, we have the O'Brien Cooperage, which let me see where this one is, because I don't remember if I've actually switched that. Oh, O'Brien Cooperage is at the top of Graham County. We'll come back for that one. But with at least Flanagan Coal and then Smoky Mountain Lime Company, Smoky Mountain Lime Company's down here. So F1-2 is going to be our tank track over here. So we can go ahead and get that set over. And then Flanagan Coal is back there. So we can at least get these couple of cars shifted around. But yeah, let's go ahead and get this train moved over. And first things first, since we're almost there, it might make sense for us to drop the Cooperage car on this passing siding, and then we can go ahead and shove the other two cars in that we need. So, you know what? In fact, I'm going to kick it because, you know, life's cooler when you kick things. Don't quote me on that. So, let's go ahead. I love the sounds on this, by the way. It's so fun to have all these custom sounds for this locomotive. Okay. All right, so with that car kicked, we have one more car that needs to go to Flanagan Coal. So with that, I think we should kick that one too, just a little bit to get it out of the way. So let's kick this thing fully up. Now these things are not built for speed when hauling loads, at least not that I've noticed. It's very much a, you know, good for switching, and you know, it can pull to a point, but I digress. It does what it needs to do, though. So for a small yard switcher, it does exactly what it needs to. All right. Since we're in the habit of kicking, let's go ahead and kick some more. To quote Patrick from SpongeBob, kicking, I want to do some kicking. Yes, we will. So let's go ahead. I think our switches are mostly set. Yeah, so let's go ahead. We'll get up to 20 miles an hour or so. And then with the power of friendship and this cut lever I found, let's go ahead and throw this car away. I love the idle sounds for this engine. It just makes it so cool. And I think that's mainly because of what Beeman's been doing with a lot of the coding for stuff. But, yeah, it's good. All right, so let's let this roll in. So this should be doing what it needs to do then. It looks like I gave it just enough beans. That way we've got plenty of space to stop it here. And we'll actually stop it where it should unload, so voila. Meanwhile, let's rejoin our diesel here as we back up. I think my favorite part of this model literally is the custom sounds, and it just is so fun. Let's go ahead. We'll grab the cars that we need to take over to Flanagan Coal. And then we'll bring back to the yard the Cooperage car, as well as the couple of outbounds for Bryson. So maybe we can have a local or something take that up the hill in a future thing. right, come on. Nice and slowly here. Move on forward. It's got a neat truck assembly model, too. It's actually really nice. So I like that a lot. The only thing I don't think it has is like the chain drive that I know at least our locomotive has. I don't know if that was standard on all of them or whether that was just a thing that the narrow gauge ones had or whatnot. But the ones that we have at the broad top, or I guess the one I should say we have, came originally from Algoma Steel. It's been on the broad top since 92, I want to say. Somewhere in the 90s. Alrighty. So, with that applied, let's get in the cab. Let's go ahead and get this going. All the stuff in the cab is modeled. So let's see, as we get faster. Yep, the mile per hour gauge is doing its thing. Let's see if we put on some brake. Looks like the brake gauges are not modeled yet. So maybe that's something that's going to be coming in the future. But still is a pretty good model. Let's go ahead and head around. Looks like we're already set for the most part into Flanagan Coal. So what we'll do is we'll take this run around. I think this car is going to S1, so this is actually going to here. So we'll go ahead, shove those in with the others, and then that'll be good to go. You can see people have been really updating Nantahala with a lot of custom buildings and fixing the track and stuff, and it's really turning out to be a nice location. I'm really glad we're featuring it for sort of a West End love sort of thing, West End of the Railroad love. So it'll be interesting to see how we are able to do things with this in the future. But in the meanwhile, let's roll over our new tracks down into the area of Flanagan Coal Mine. So let's head on over, shall we? Alrighty, we're coming on into Flanagan Coal Mine now. Named for the one and only M.R. Flanagan. I think it was either put together by Full Twist or Captain Foxy. I forget which one it was off the top of my head. So I know it was one of you, I just can't remember which. Let's go ahead and get this car set with the others here. So nice and gently, maybe put on a little bit of brake. And let's go ahead, tie that air in. There's already a handbrake on that. The cut lever's animated. I love that. So now we're going to go over and grab those couple of loaded hoppers, take them back to our little Nantahala interchange, and we should be good to go. And those are our Norfolk and Western style hoppers that were added to the game a little bit ago, meaning like a week or so from the time of this recording, but they are also very much worth your look. They are really fun to use on our coal railroad, so go check them out. Give all the mod makers some love. There's some really cool mods out on Nexus as well as the Railroader Discord, so go check those out if you have time. But in the meanwhile, let's go ahead and get moved up here. Now, the one thing with these locomotives, they might sometimes take a bit to start once you have a heavy load with them, and loaded coal hoppers, they can weigh a bit. So let's see how well this puppy can pull. So first things first, before we do this, I'm going to close the angle cock. I said close the angle cock. That way we don't immediately dump the air on this train. And looks like I've got a number of handbrakes we got to take off as well. So let's go ahead and get those. And of course it's the one right next to the engine. Alrighty. So with that said, let's have our guy face the other way. It looks like because of the weight of these cars and the fact that we're on a downhill grade, this is actually going pretty easy to get going. So good for us. This is 448 tons, so fairly heavy with coal. But you know, let's head back out to the interchange here and get these dropped off. Already engine. I would really like it if you slowed down a little bit. I've got a 20-pound set on this hopper train, and it is very slowly slowing down. So keep an eye on your brakes, I suppose, if you have a fairly heavy train that you're trying to do stuff with. But we have everything just kind of idling right now as we roll downhill with these cars. And let's go ahead. We're going to be heading over here to the yard. We're going to keep everything in here, and I'm just going to load us for the short track. So that'll allow us to get everything over here in a timely fashion. And back into Nantahala we come. Because of how long it takes to stop, I'm already going to go ahead and just put a 10-pound set on. Get this slowing down for these sharp curves. This coal train does not like slowing down, it just wants to roll. But Little Dude is doing what it needs to do. It is hauling. And again, it's a really nice model. I would recommend you go check it out. The things you will need for this model to run, you will need to have Unity Mod Manager. You'll also need to have Asset Loader. And you have to have the EMD GP38 version 3.0, which is the main branch version. As Spinotto puts in his notes here, it is untested currently on the experimental branch for Railroader. So it may work, it might not. Your mileage may vary. But there we go. And I actually realized I misspoke earlier. This is Phase 4 currently. So the first one was Phase 1. We're currently in the Phase 4 attire. So we'll see what Spinotto comes up with in the future. But in the meanwhile, let's go ahead, put some handbrakes on here. Thankfully, these are going over to Bryson, so the grade's going to be a lot less to deal with. Go ahead, get this moved back just a hair. And we're good. And with that, we have our engine here doing what it needs to do. We have our freight that is waiting for more power to be added to it. So I think we're going to end this video here. But yeah, here is your little feature of the GE44. Again, it's available on Nexus Mods. Go check it out if you want. If you like seeing stuff like this, please let me know with a comment down below. Hit the like button if you like this sort of thing. Share with your friends on social media or Discord. Subscribe to the channel if you're new here, and a huge thank you to all of our channel members who help make everything that we do here possible. We will see you next time. Bye-bye.